What up, Bucs fans, NFL fans, and betting fans? Welcome to week 2 of Pewter Picks and Props, also college football as well, brought to you by pewterreport.com. I'm your host, Matt Matera. I want to get right into it, but first, let's talk about my records last week. I was on the money, particularly in the NFL, still had a winning record with college football going 4-3. The NFL, I was on fire. Cash money, 7-1, including hitting the Bucs game and the team total over for the Bucs, plus the player props, 3-0 on that one. Going to try to get the touchdown this week. But if you didn't follow my picks last week, you missed out. But I plan on winning once again. So let's get right into it, starting with college football. Not the best slate this week versus what we saw last week and what is coming up, but nonetheless, there's a lot of great betting to get to because winning is always fun regardless of who is playing. So we're going to start out with the Battle of Oregon. I like Oregon State plus 16.5 at home facing the Oregon Ducks. This has to do more with the Ducks, the fact that they have struggled coming out of the gate, had a tough time defeating Boise State last week. So I think that struggle continues a little bit. It wouldn't shock me if the Ducks won. However, they're going on the road. It's a rivalry game. Oregon State wants to be taken legitimately. So I think with the struggles of Oregon, it's a close enough game where they cover over 2 touchdowns at plus 6.5. Next up, a high-powered offense. Oklahoma facing Tulane. I love the over in this one of 47.5. Tulane has some crazy things going on between their first game of the season and allowing a couple of defensive scores to Kansas State last week. They had Kansas State on the ropes. They can put up points, and we know Oklahoma can put up points. I think Oklahoma is at least going to score 30, and Tulane can mop up the rest. So over 47.5, I think, in my thoughts, in my opinion, this is my favorite pick of the week of over 47.5 for Tulane and Oklahoma. This team, I won on them last week, taking them plus 31.5. I'm going back to USF this week, but not with the spread. I like the under in their game against Southern Miss. This is a road game for USF, but just watching their offense, they're very run-oriented. Their quarterback is all about running the football more than passing it, so I think that obviously chews up a lot more time. Yes, they can get some splash plays, but typically when you're running it, the clock will tick a lot more. And I think USF's defense will be up to the task against Southern Miss. So I really like the under of 58 in this one. You're pretty much asking both teams to score 30 points or close to it, or one team to score 40 and another team to score 20. So I don't necessarily see that happening with USF. I think they win by a handful, but that under hits at 58. Next up in college football, a team that had a great win last week on the road. This time around, they are at home. I'm talking about the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em. They go up against UTSA. And sure, it's a lopsided matchup, but the over of 54 I felt was kind of low. Another situation where Texas, I think on their own, is going to score at least 35 or 40. Their offense is rolling. Quinn Ewers looks fantastic. Worried a little bit because Texas's defense is so good that, they may blank their opponent. However, 54, I see Texas putting up a number of points, and I think, weird things happen in college football at times. I'll take the over in this one. My last college football pick in this one, going to an SEC matchup, and a bit of a lopsided one, but overall, it's really difficult to go up against the Georgia Bulldogs and what they've pulled off so far early in the season. They clobbered Clemson in week 1, and they had a blowout victory in week 2. As great as Georgia is, Kentucky, the wheels have really fallen off with them. They obviously lost Liam Cohen, the new offensive coordinator of the Bucs. This game is a home game for Georgia. I don't know if Kentucky scores. Then obviously Georgia's offense with Carson Beck and a lot of the talent that they have over there. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a shutout for Georgia and they win like 31-0. So I like Georgia minus 24 in this one. Those are all my college picks. One more time, Oregon State plus 16.5, the over in Tulane, Oklahoma, the under in USF and Southern Miss, the over of 54 in UTSA and Texas, and then Georgia minus 24. Typically, I like to just go to the Bucs game after that, but this time around, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go with my NFL picks, which again were red hot last week, and then we'll finish it up with the Bucs game and some of the player props. So moving to the NFL side of things on Pewter Picks and Props, we're going to start off with a team the Bucs played against in the preseason. I also bet on them with the over last week. It didn't hit. So this time around, I'm going with the under in the Browns and Jaguars game. That under is 42. For me, this has a lot to do with Cleveland's defense. I think it's going to be a bounce back game for that unit specifically. I clearly don't trust Deshaun Watson like many people across the NFL do. I think this is going to be an ugly, ugly game. I don't know what the heck happened to the Jaguars in the second half against Miami where, they had a lead and then just couldn't move the ball in the second half. I think that's going to happen to the Jaguars once again. Even though they have skilled players, Cleveland's defense is typically very difficult. And maybe that says a lot more about the Cowboys in that game last week than it does against the Browns. They're not as bad as what we saw. So I like the under 42 in this one. Sticking with the under for this next game, a team that the Bucs just saw last week, the Commanders and the Giants. It's a home game for the Commanders. The under 44.5. I know Washington's defense is bad, but Daniel Jones and the Giants offense is worse. And even though this is a defense where they could probably get some more things going, the fact that it's in Washington, I think, helps out the Commanders in this one. Jaden Daniels obviously is a bad mamma jamma. We saw him run all over the place for 88 rushing yards against the Bucs. As bad as the Giants are, they have a pretty good defensive unit with Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence and some of those guys. So give me the under of 44.5 in Washington against the Giants. Next up, Patriots plus 3.5 against the Seahawks. Patriots are a stingy team. Their defense comes to play week in and week out. It's the home opener for them. They just had a big upset win against the Bengals. And the Seahawks can be clunky at times, especially with Geno Smith. So give me the Patriots plus 3.5. Moving on, the next game, two teams I bet on last week, the Cowboys and the Saints. This is the home opener for the Cowboys. I'm picking up what Dallas is doing now that Dak is under contract and CeeDee Lamb. This is a high-flying offense. I don't buy what the Saints did against the Panthers. That speaks more to the Panthers just being a terrible team. So the Saints lose this game by more than a touchdown. I think the Dallas scores all over the field against the Saints defense that is a little bit older, and Derek Carr cannot keep up. So give me the Cowboys minus 6.5. My last NFL game before we get to Bucs versus Lions is Rams at the Cardinals. I will take the Rams money line against Arizona. They had a tough draw against the Lions in week 1. The Lions are one of the most talented teams in the league. Arizona almost pulled off the upset against Buffalo, but they're still working out some of the kinks on their offense with Kyler Murray and Trey McBride and trying to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved. Meanwhile, I think the Rams are going to have their way against Arizona's defense. The Rams are a really good team. Don't let the week 1 loss fool you. So give me Los Angeles against the Cardinals money line in that matchup. Moving on to the finale of the Bucs game, a 1:00 contest in Detroit, Bucs versus Lions. I hate that I got to do it, but I am taking the Lions minus 7 to cover against the Bucs, and I also have the over of 52. I just think there is too many weapons that the Lions have, where even last week they didn't totally get it going with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who torched the Bucs twice last season. Now this year you add in Jameson Williams, who also hurt the Bucs, being even that much more of a deep threat. The Bucs are missing Antoine Winfield Jr. They're missing Luke Gedeke over at right tackle on the offensive side. I still think the Bucs will be able to move the football, which is why I have the over of 52. However, that pressure for the Bucs, how are they going to get to Jared Goff before he gets the ball out to either Sam Laporta or St. Brown or Jameson Williams? I don't see the Bucs getting to Jared Goff as much as they need to. And with Winfield missing, there's some questions at the slot as well. If Tyke Smith is going to be available, of course, no Kalijah Cansey, the defensive tackle. The Lions move the ball even better than they did a week ago, getting over that 30-point threshold. Bucs keep it somewhat close, but I think it'll be an 8 to 10-point game. They still cannot get over the hump of beating the Detroit Lions. So I like the Lions -7. The over of 52. Baker is going to still have to dish the ball out. We'll see how that run game works. However, the one thing they do have going for them, which is why I love moving over to my Pewter props and Bucs player props. I love the over of 5.5 catches for Chris Godwin against the Detroit Lions. Last week, Cooper Kupp went into Detroit playing in that slot where Chris Godwin is going to be and caught at least 10 catches, maybe even more. Chris Godwin is going to get peppered the football based on the defense that the Lions will run. So give me the over of Chris Godwin of 5.5 catches. He may get double digits, but at least 6 or more. Next up, Cade Otton was not used a ton last week. He's had a lot of targets against the Lions. I think that's going to change, partially because Jalen McMillan is on the team now, but also because there's no Luke Gedeke. That's a field day for Aiden Hutchinson going up against Justin School. They're going to use Cade Otton to chip block Aiden Hutchinson and Davenport as well, maybe some double teams. I don't see him providing that much in the passing game this week once again. So I'll take the under of 22.5 receiving yards for Cade Otton because of Jalen McMillan, because of Chris Godwin getting open in the slot, and also since they'll need him, double teaming, chipping, all that fun stuff. I'm going to take Cade Otton with the under of 22.5. And last, but certainly not least, because the Bucs are going to be playing from behind a little bit and they're going to have to throw the football, I will take Baker Mayfield's over 21.5 completions in the game. I trust Liam Cohen to put him in some good spots. I trust Liam Cohen to help the Bucs move the football down the field, and that starts with Baker Mayfield. Some throws to Chris Godwin. They'll get Mike Evans in the mix. Of course, if the Lions are very, very aggressive, that means players heading up the field, bam, screen pass to Rachaad White, bam, screen pass to Bucky Irving. I see the screens being huge in this game. So we will take Baker Mayfield over 21.5 completions. Last but certainly not least, this didn't hit last week, but I'm going to double down on it, see if it happens this time around for over plus 300 on a touchdown prop. Bucky Irving reaches the end zone for the first time in his career. Like I said, it's plus over 300. And Bucky, with the way that he ran in week 1, I think the Bucs try to lean on him a little bit more if it doesn't get done with Rachaad White. So shout out to Bucky Irving. Really made a big impact in his first game in the NFL, and I think he'll have a great career in Tampa Bay. So one more time, I have the Lions covering -7, the over of 52, Chris Godwin over in catches, Cade Otton under in receiving yards, and Baker Mayfield over in completions, along with a Bucky Irving touchdown. That's going to do it for me on today's show. Hope you follow my picks. We were great last week, looking to be even better this time around. If you want to follow me on my social media, it's at Matty4_Matera. Of course, you can see all my work on PewterReport.com. Please make sure you subscribe to Pewter Report TV on our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below as well if there's any picks that you have for this game in particular, or college football, or the NFL, or whether or not you agree or disagree with my picks. Would really appreciate that. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week, and let's win some money. Out.